Hi, welcome back. I'm Linda. Today I finished up a morning sunrise, or it could be an evening sunset. Beautiful trees in the back, cabin nestled back amongst the pine trees, a little babbling stream here, creek, couple of birch in the snow. I know you're going to love painting this one. Get your paints out, follow me, pause and paint. So let's get started. Here are the oil paints I use. Brown acrylic for the underpainting, liquid white by Bob Ross, Winton Newton oil, titanium white, lamp black, phthalo blue, Van Dyke brown, burnt sienna, sap green, yellow ochre, cad yellow pale hue, and cad red light hue. And so I am going right at it into the brown acrylic, and I'm shaping trees and shaping out the lay of the little creek, the little riverbed, just kind of etching, sketching it out, putting in the lay of land, how I want it to flow. So now I'm taking some liquid white and I'm going to put it on. I've got a 1-inch brush and just lightly, very lightly, go over the whole thing. Very, very light. And I'm taking a shop towel, blue shop towel, and I'm just going over the whole thing. Just taking off all that excess white. And with a clean dry brush, I'm going into cad yellow. And I'm going to just go around in that center part and down at the horizon line, tree line, and then in the water bed, in the creek. Taking a shop towel and just gently blending and just going over that lightly. So I'm making some gray blue. I'm doing phthalo with a little white and just a touch of black. And that's going to give me that real pretty gray blue that I want for the sky. So I'm going to go on the top above the yellow and just do some X strokes up there. And the corners are going to be slightly darker, but I'm just blending it in just on the top portion there, maybe a little in the center too, just a tiny bit. And then adding a little, making it a little darker, medium gray, doing the pre-line there and all the way down to the bottom of the canvas, just up to that creek bed. Same thing on the other side. Blending. And it doesn't have to be solid. Leave some of that light area in there. Just brushing inward and pulling back. And a little darker down in the left corner. Same with the right side. All right, so now I'm going in to a little bit of the yellow ochre. I'm going to start at the base just above the tree line there, and I'm going to work, just go up, but not into the gray. Just going to work around and put some of that here and there, and then down into the water, because the reflection from that sun is going to be in the water, so I want to make sure I have nice coverage there for the reflection. I'm adding a little bit of white in the center there, right below that sunlight. I want it right in line where that's going to hit. I've got a little white on my finger and I'm just going to make a little circle. And same with in the water, just a little tiny bit. Because I want a nice bright reflection there. Now I'm just blending up. Just blending that in, touch of white on those trees just a little bit. And just blend. Okay. Got a little yellow ochre, burnt sienna, and some green, sap green, mainly green, and I'm going to start putting some treetops, shaping out some trees on the top of that, just here and there. You can leave a little yellow showing through, and then tapping at the tree line, and putting in some, I like a little bush line there, little bushes, and continuing up, just putting in some trees, tapping here and there. It doesn't have to be solid because I'm going to be having some evergreens in front of those, but I want it to be, it's the background, and putting a little darker on the top, adding some more burnt sienna, and a little bit of yellow ochre, and even a little bit of the golden yellow. You can always put a little bit of red in that yellow and make it more golden. Just touch here and there. It's your painting. You can make it however you like. I've got a reference photo I'm looking at, but I've done quite a bit of changes on it. But it's just kind of reference for color and balance. I'm going into a Van Dyke brown, a little bit of black, because I'm doing some trees, and I've got a liner brush because I don't want them real thick. So I'm just kind of etching out at the base of the tree line, and not all the way to the top. Not all the way. Just some big, just long tree trunks there. Same on the other side, not all the way, just to the tops of those treetops. I've got a small brush. It's just a little flat. Works really cool. It's a number six flat, rather short bristles, and it works really good for little small areas like for bushes and that. I really like it. Can lift up and it makes some nice little sticks. But I want to leave a little tiny opening there where the creek is gonna slip through there. It's a little opening. And I want to leave that part open. It's going to go all the way. There's going to be a lot of pines on the left, going to be covering that area, so you don't have to go all the way to the end. So now I'm going into phthalo, a little bit of white, touch of black, just a touch. I'm just making a very light for snow. Light gray there, and right at the tree line, you push up, and I'm using a little fan brush there. I think it's a number 4. I'm just lifting up a little bit there by the horizon line and smoothing that in, getting ready for a blanket of snow. I'm going to work my way down to the bottom of the canvas. I want to make sure it's nice and smooth. Just going up to the bank. I'm putting that little indentations there where I'm going to have 2 fairly nice birch trees. So that's why I've got those 2 lines there. But I'm angling, the land is going to go downhill a little bit there. So I'm putting some shadow, some darker gray there, darker blue gray in that corner. And then down in the right there, that's where the water is going to flow there. The bank, the shoreline, it's going to be quite dark. And it's going to angle up. The snow is going to meet the creek there. So I'm just kind of angling up a little bit. Lots of shadows in this. So I'm going to go up the creek a little bit. Doesn't have to be a straight line, kind of irregular, but I'm kind of shaping how my banks are gonna sit. Because on the shoreline it's going to be quite dark, very dark, almost black. It's a little bit of phthalo and black, touch of white, but just a very, very dark gray. Same on the other side, but the bank isn't going to be quite as prominent. So I'm making shadows. And snow will be on top of that. It's just base work for when I put snow on there. I can leave a few shadow areas that pop through. And down on the right there's going to be kind of a rocky area. I'm going to have a stump, uh, tree stump in there. So I'm just making a real dark area, set it up for like a stump or a rock. Okay, so I'm putting I've got a little bit of sap green and brown, touch of black, maybe a touch of blue. Just really, really dark green, really dark. I'm making some evergreens up there, and these evergreens have boughs that kind of hang. They're not your normal pine tree. I don't know what they call them, what kind of trees they are, but now you can see them a little better. I put a cluster of 4 smaller ones on the side there on the right, bigger one in the middle, and I'm working on putting some more. Now these I'm using a fan brush with. The other one I was just using a little flat brush to shape those boughs. But here I'm zigzagging, just going kind of side to side with a small fan brush. Making about 3 of them there, just tapping those in. A small one there doesn't work real good. I got to get a smaller round brush to finish that little one off because it's just this real tight area. So I'll get a real small round. What I've got here is so that's a number 4 round. It's a short bristle. Oh, now I'm just adding some white in the very back, just a little bit, and I'm gonna bring that over for the snow line, right underneath those bushes. And I'll put a little white kind of up in the bushes too, just to make it look a little more natural. Same with the other side. I'm gonna just work my way between the pines a little bit, make it look like the snow is built up in there. I'm not gonna make a real straight line, just kind of make it look natural. And then I'll work my way down. I'm gonna go right up to the shoreline. I'm gonna leave a little dark there by the shoreline. I'm gonna start arcing my snow a little bit. I'm gonna do a little bit of a V there, like the water is seeped in there a little bit, a little darker area. You can touch that up with some phthalo and black, make it real dark, make that where the shoreline is. Now I'm putting in, so it's a hill, it's a little hill, and it's going to meet up with those 2 birch trees that I'm going to put up in there. But I'm just kind of angling the snow. I'm going to put some shadow. It's a light blue, gray. and make some shadow lines of where those trees are got what they're going to give off a shadow effect. So I'm just putting some darker lines in there, shadow lines, even though the trees aren't there, but you know that we're gonna need them. So as long as I got the blue handy, I'm gonna just put some of that variation of blues in that left corner. And just blend it in. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, I'm gonna put a little darker area in there, dark gray up to one of those pines, and then I'm gonna brush it. Take a real soft brush and just kind of brush it. And that's another shadow effect of the trees. Working on the top of that bank, a little bit of yellow in there, because the sunlight's coming right straight down and it will hit the top of that. All right, so I'm gonna work on it's like a crevice. I don't know, the land is coming through the snow where that dark area is. I'm gonna kind of brush over that, just soften it up, put some darker blues up where the cabin's gonna be up against those evergreens. Now I'm shaping, I've got a snowbank that's kind of a weird shape, but I want it to look as natural as I can. Uh, and I did add some liquid white to my titanium white, so it will help stick because there's a lot of paint on there, and I want to make sure that this white stays really white. And got a little round brush. I'm just trying to work that snow in and along the shoreline there, make it real white. And you may have to wait a little bit so it sets and then go back and put some more on. But I find putting liquid white, mixing it in my titanium, makes it a little, I don't want to say runny, but it's real soft. It's real easy to put on, lay over this gray color that's down. Okay, now I'm going into my dark black. And I'm going to go right down by the shoreline. I'm going to go up with it into the snow and bring some of that black. I smeared it in with my finger. And I'm adding some navy in there to make it, the water is quite dark there. And the shoreline in there is kind of jiggles up into the shoreline, into the snow. Okay, so now I'm jumping on top there, give myself a break in the water, but I'm putting some snow on those pine leaves, shaping those longer boughs. Takes me a while to get the hang of it, but it's kind of tedious. And you can always go back and fix too if you think you've got too much white in there. You can take some darker green and shape them a little bit better. I've got a smaller one that's hugging two of them actually, that's hugging the canvas on the right. And just going down, using my fan brush now, I just tap the color into the ends of that brush. Just shaping those tree boughs. Trying to make the snow look heavy, on the tree boughs. I think the more liquid white you got on there, it works pretty good. Right into the snow. And the other ones are a little different pine trees, so I'm using my fan brush, the corner, and just zigzagging a little bit of highlight white over those pine trees. Okay, I'm going into a little bit of black, and I'm going to start putting in my cabin. Got it kind of scratched out there. I don't think you can see it, but um, I'm just putting in the angles of the roof. One roof goes to the right, and the other one on the left is more off to the left a little bit. Kind of tricky. You'll see when I put the white on the angles. Okay, now I've got some, I'm going to do the peak. So I've got some cad yellow and a little bit of yellow ochre there. Because the sun is kind of hitting the front of that cabin a little bit. So I wanted to make sure the front is quite visible. And then there's a window on the left, little window, and another little window on the right. I used a small end of my palette knife to achieve that. So now I've got some real light gray, because I want a little gray rather than black there. And with the edges of my palette knife, I'm putting in snow lines on the roof front. This is where a little bit of liquid white helps too. It helps the flow, helps it stick really nice. Putting in a little door. And just kind of blending that gray and the white coming down off the roof. Put in a little chimney there on the second half of that building. Gonna add some smoke. Fireplace is going and it's nice and toasty inside. All right, I've got some dark blue and black, like some blue spruce. I'm gonna put one fairly big one alongside of that house cabin, and that's a zigzag side to side tree, unlike the ones behind. And then a little smaller one next to that one. I'm going to add a few little highlights with white. Just tapping here and there. And you can go back and fix some of that with the darker green if you've got too much going on. I think I went back and fixed a little bit there. All right, I've got a little scruffy brush, a little half-inch scruffy brush that I got the Donna Dewberry. They still make them, and I'm making some little tiny bushes in front of the cabin, some green ones, and I'll come back and put a little bit of snow on those. Just tapping lightly. A little bit of snow. Just smoothing out getting the lay of the land just right. You can add a little white on your brush and well, I've got some white on palette knife. Well, actually, now I'm doing a little path right now. I'm using the small end of my palette knife, and I dipped it in some Van Dyke brown, a little black, and just going to create a little pathway right from the front door, angles off to the right. Now I'm going to take some white, a little roll on my palette knife. I'm going to create some snow right from the edge of the path down, right down to the shoreline there. Nice little roll right up to the path, and then just curve it. Doesn't have to be perfectly straight. And same with the banks. So I did create a little crevice there. I've got some grassies I'm putting in. And I put a few here and there. Gonna put some on the other side of the path. Just a few. That is burnt sienna. It's and a little bit of touch of red in there. And burnt sienna is pretty. It's a real red brown. Taking a script liner brush, and I'm making some taller grasses that are coming out of that old crevice there. Starting out with black, and then I'm going to add some burnt sienna ones coming out, and then I'll end up with a little bit of white. Adding a few little branches, stick things sticking up, just to give it some interest. Putting a little burnt sienna adds just enough color to it. And really close right down at the base of those trunks and grassies and that, I'm putting little lumps of white, kind of in the grassy areas. Gives it a more realistic look. So I created another little crevice right there, right will be behind those two trees. Got to put that in first before you put your trees in. And I'm creating some little grassies. All right, I'm ready to put my trees in, my birch trees. So I'm going to go all the way up. I have a medium gray. I'm going to make one a little bit wider. And they're fairly close, but I'm going to make the inside one there toward the creek a little bit thicker, just a little bit. And then I'm going to put some little arms on. I'm taking a little bit of black, straight black, on a real small, and I've got a little flat. It's a number 6 flat, and it's works really good for thinner trees like that. And I want on the left side, I want it real dark. Same with the other tree. On the left side, I want that real dark. And I make my little trunk come down onto the bank a little bit. Now I've got a scruffy little brush. It's a gnarly one that I've had for years. I customized it and I cut the end off, and so it's kind of short, stiff, and got some white on it, titanium white. I'm just kind of flicking to the side, and that gives me some really cool little lines, like for birch. Works really good. And I'm going to do both trees. Then I'll come back and put a little black. From the other side, I'll swoop to the right, and I'll add some little black marks here and there for typical birch. Just sporadic, just touching here and there. And shaping the base of that tree a little bit. Brushing in some black, a little darker at the bottoms. and working my way up that old tree, putting in some black marks. And I'm putting some little grasses and little foliage there along the side and the front of those two trees. And maybe a little twig or something too sticking up that makes it look kind of nice. And I kind of dotted some dark Van Dyke brown, like real close to the ground, so it looks like ground there. It's not just, you know. So now I got it's a pale blue, and let me just stay a little blue and or white, touch of blue, just a touch. It's kind of an icy blue, and I'm just making a little bit of water movement along those banks, those snow banks. Just a little something there. And I'm adding, you can add a little bit of yellow too on your palette knife. Put some yellow, very faint yellow lines in the center for water lines. I'm just getting a little dark, putting some dark areas at the base of some of those that jut out. If you make them really dark, it creates a lot of depth. It doesn't need much, but it's the dark side. You know what I'm saying? That part doesn't really get light. All right, I'm putting in broken off tree, so black. It's a little round brush I'm using. Um, just a little something there. And then I'm gonna put a broken tree limb, part of the tree. It's gonna be uh, laying down at an angle and into the water. There you go. Lay that in the water. That's black. Touch of brown. Might have a little arm, tree limb coming up a little bit. And after a bit, I'll put some white, some snow on the top of that stump. This is where the liquid white really helps, adding that to your titanium. It'll help it stick. And then on the top of that tree branch that's in the water, I'm going to lighten that up too with a little snow on that. And I'll put some little grasses around the stump and kind of around there a little bit. I'm kind of rolling my brush over the top, just kind of swirling it over that. My little grasses and twigs and sticks sticking up. It just gives it painting some interest. That little jar I have that I'm dipping in, that's odorless mineral spirits. Keeps my brush clean and helps the paint. I'm not constantly mixing my paint. It's right on the brush as I go into it. So I'm tapping with a 1-inch. I'm putting a little highlights on some of those trees back there. Titanium with a little bit of liquid white. It makes it stick really nice. I'm gonna add some little tiny little leaves on my birch limbs. Just a few here and there. Just a few, just to give it a little color. Just tapping ever so light. And wherever you think needs a little color. Well, I really enjoy doing this painting. It's a little bit intricate, but I think if you could follow me, pause and paint, that's how you can do it. So until next time, happy painting and God bless.